So we're diving into boost your organic search growth. And let me tell you, this isn't some quick fix surface level guide. This gets into the nitty gritty.
Absolutely. It's about building a long-term SEO strategy that really lasts.
Yeah, none of that keyword stuffing nonsense.
Mm.
We're talking about the kind of growth that builds your online presence for the long haul.
That's right. And it all starts with understanding your audience. This guide really emphasizes the importance of knowing what people are actually searching for.
Right, because what we think people are searching for and what they're actually typing into Google, well, those two things aren't always the same, are they?
Exactly. And that's where search intent comes in. It's not enough to just know the keyword, like coffee, for example. We need to know what the person searching for coffee actually wants.
Give me an example.
Okay, so someone searching for coffee might just be looking for a definition, right?
Sure, makes sense.
But someone searching for best coffee beans for cold brew, that's a whole different story.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. They're ready to buy some coffee beans.
Exactly. So understanding the why behind a search is crucial.
So how do we figure out what our audience is really after? I know the guide talks about keyword research.
It does, and it dives into different types of keywords, like long-tail keywords.
Long tail keywords, remind me what those are again.
Think back to best coffee beans for cold brew. That's a long-tail keyword. They're longer, more specific phrases that people use when they know exactly what they want.
So let's say I have an online store selling vintage clothing.
Okay, I love it.
A short tail keyword would be vintage dresses, but a long tail keyword might be 1950s Dior new look style dress, right?
Exactly. You've got it. And those longer, more specific keywords often indicate a higher purchase intent.
So we're not just casting a wide net here, we're trying to attract the right kind of customers.
Precisely. The ones who are actually ready to buy.
Love it. Okay, so we've got our audience figured out. We're zeroing in on those long tail keywords. What's next?
Well, now it's time to create content that really knocks their socks off.
Because content is king, right?
It is, but I'd even take it a step further.
Oh, how so?
Quality content, my friend. Quality content is king.
You know what? I'm with you on that one. This guide has a whole section on something called pillar content. What's the deal with that?
Pillar content is the foundation of your content strategy. These are those in-depth, super informative pieces that establish you as an expert in your field.
So going back to the vintage clothing store, a pillar content piece might be like a comprehensive guide to dating vintage garments, or maybe a glossary of vintage fashion terms.
Exactly. Something super valuable that people will want to bookmark and share.
And the guide talks about how pillar content can attract backlinks too, which, if I remember correctly, are kind of a big deal in the SEO world.
Backlinks are like gold. They're votes of confidence from other websites.
Right, right. So other websites are basically saying, hey, this website is legit, check it out.
You got it, and Google eats that stuff up.
So how do we get these votes of confidence? How do we get backlinks?
Well, the guide suggests things like guest blogging.
Guest blogging, okay.
So you could reach out to other websites in the vintage clothing niche, maybe a fashion history blog, or a site about sustainable fashion.
And write an article for them, and within that article, link back to my vintage clothing store.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
I get exposure to a new audience, and hopefully some of those readers click over to my site.
And you get a valuable backlink, which boosts your website's authority in the eyes of Google.
Makes sense. Okay, so we're attracting the right people with long-tail keywords, building killer content, getting those backlinks. It's all starting to come together. But I have a feeling there's more to this SEO puzzle, right?
Oh yeah, there's definitely more. Think of it like this. We've laid the groundwork, but now we got to make sure the website itself is up to par.
Okay, so we're talking about the technical stuff.
Exactly. Technical SEO. And I know it can sound kind of intimidating, but it's really not as scary as it seems.
Well, some of us aren't exactly coding wizards.
I hear ya, but this
Yeah.
guy does a great job of breaking it down into manageable steps.
All right, so what's the first thing we need to focus on when it comes to technical SEO?
Site speed. That's a big one.
Site speed. Makes sense. I mean, nobody wants to wait around for a website to load.
Exactly. And you know what? Google feels the same way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, site speed is actually a ranking factor now.
Wow. So if my website takes forever to load, Google's going to punish me for it.
Pretty much. So we got to make sure those pages are loading lightning fast.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Yeah.
What are some practical tips for improving site speed?
Image optimization is huge.
Image optimization. Okay.
Yeah, you got to make sure those images aren't too big. Large image files can really slow things down.
Right, because I'm always uploading these super high resolution pictures.
I feel you, but for your website, You want to resize those images and make sure they're in a web-friendly format like JPEG or PNG.
So basically shrinking them down without sacrificing too much quality.
Exactly. And there are tools that can help you with that.
Cool, cool. What
The
else?
guide also talks about minifying code.
Minifying code. Okay, now you're just messing with me.
I know it sounds complicated, but it's basically just removing any unnecessary characters from your website's code.
And that makes things faster.
It can. Every little bit helps, right?
Right. Makes sense. Okay, so we've tackled site speed. What's next on our technical SEO to-do list?
Mobile optimization is another big one.
Mobile optimization. So making sure our website looks good on phone.
That's part of it. But it's more than just looks. It's about making sure your website functions flawlessly on all devices.
Okay, so phones, tablets, laptops, the whole shebang.
Yep. And the key here is responsive design.
Responsive design. Refresh my memory on that one.
So a responsively designed website automatically adjusts its layout and content to fit any screen size.
Ah, okay. So it's like those images we were talking about earlier. We're basically creating images that can adapt to different screen sizes.
You got it. And this is super important because more and more people are browsing the web on their phones.
For sure. It's like everyone's glued to their phones these days.
Right. So if your website isn't mobile friendly, you're going to lose out on a ton of traffic.
And potential customers.
Exactly. All right. You ready to get a little bit more technical? Bring it on. I'm feeling brave today.
Okay, let's talk about schema markup.
Schema markup. Okay, I'm not going to lie. That one sounds a little intimidating.
I know it sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty cool. Think of it like this schema markup is a way to speak Google's language.
Speak Google's language. Intriguing. Tell me more.
So you know how Google reads your website to understand what it's all about?
Yeah?
Schema markup is basically a way to give Google a little extra help.
Okay, so it's like we're giving Google a backstage pass to our website.
Exactly. And by adding these special tags to your website's code, you can tell Google exactly what your content is about.
So instead of just seeing a bunch of words and images, Google can actually understand the context.
Precisely.
And why is that so important?
Well, for one thing, it can help you get those rich snippets in search results. Rich snippets. You mean those eye-catching search results with the extra information?
Exactly, like when you search for a recipe and you see the star ratings right there in the search results.
Yeah. Or when you search for a product and you see the price and availability right there.
Those are rich snippets, and schema markup can help you get them.
Wow, so it's like giving your website a little SEO boost.
You got it. It's all about making it easier for Google to understand and rank your content.
This is great stuff. I'm feeling a lot more confident about this whole technical SEO thing now. But before we move on, is there anything else we need to cover in the realm of technical SEO? So we've covered a ton of ground here. Keywords, content backlinks, technical SEO. It's a lot.
It is. SEO is a pretty big world.
It is. And you know what I just realized? This whole time we've been talking about, like, dominating the global online world.
Right, reaching the masses.
Exactly. But what if I'm not selling vintage clothing to the entire world? What if I'm a local business owner, with a brick and mortar shop right here in Chicago?
Good point. This guide actually has a whole section on local SEO.
It does it. Okay, because I was just wondering about that. What's the deal with local SEO? Is it really that different from regular SEO?
It is. Local SEO is all about making sure your business shows up when people are searching for something in their local area.
So like vintage clothing stores near me or best pizza in Chicago, that kind of thing.
Exactly. You want to be at the top of those local search results.
Makes sense. But how do we actually do local SEO?
Well, a big part of it is claiming and optimizing your Google My Business profile.
Google My Business, that's that little box that pops up on the right-hand side of the search results, right? With the map and the business hours and all that.
Exactly. That's prime real estate for local businesses.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I use that all the time when I'm looking for like a new restaurant or something.
Right. So you want to make sure all your information is accurate and up to date.
Yeah.
Your business hours, your address, your phone number, all that good stuff.
And lots of photos, right?
Oh.
I always click on those.
Photos are huge. High quality photos of your products, your storefront, your team.
Okay, makes sense. And what about customer reviews? Those seem pretty important these days.
Reviews are crucial for local SEO. They're like digital word of mouth.
They really are. I know I won't even consider going to a restaurant if it has less than 4 stars.
Right. And Google knows that.
Yeah.
So you want to encourage your happy customers to leave reviews.
Okay, so we've optimized our website. We've claimed our Google My Business listing. We're racking up those 5-star reviews. How do we know if any of this SEO stuff is actually working?
That's where analytics comes in.
Analytics. Okay, so it's not just for, like, Wall Street guys in suits.
Nope. Analytics are for everyone. Tools like Google Analytics can tell you so much about how people are finding and using your website.
So I can see, like, where my traffic is coming from, what pages they're visiting, how long they're staying on my site.
Exactly. You can track all sorts of metrics and use that data to make informed decisions about your SEO strategy.
So it's all about, like, using data to make smarter decisions.
Precisely. And that's what this guide really emphasizes. It's not about like following a bunch of random tips and tricks. It's about understanding the principles of SEO and using data to guide your approach.
Which makes total sense, because what works for one website might not work for another.
Exactly. Every website is different. Every audience is different.
So this has been super helpful. I feel like I have a much better grasp on SEO now. But before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are on this SEO journey?
Just remember that SEO is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes time and effort to see real results.
So we got to be patient.
Yes,
Yeah,
be
yeah.
patient, be consistent, and never stop learning.
Words to live by. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with me.
My pleasure.
And for our listeners, I hope you learned as much as I did. Until next time, happy optimizing.